So I think I'm going to grow it out.
Really?
Yeah.
The whole winter?
The whole winter.
Oh, God.
Just not touch it.
Okay.
The beard.
Yeah, I
Yes.
know. You don't have hair on your head, so.
That's true. That's true. No, I was thinking about doing it because, it's going to be winter. It's time.
Okay. Go for it.
And I've never really done it. Down to the chin. Oh, sorry, the neck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be an interesting look.
Yeah. You have to buy special beard shampoo.
Yeah. Like a whole grooming kit.
Well, apparently the beard shampoo, you're not supposed to wash your beard with your head shampoo.
Right.
It's different.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah. Anyways.
Okay. I know what to put in your stocking.
No, don't do that. Because what if I bail on it?
Okay.
This is the intention right now.
Okay.
What if I bail?
Well, that's on you.
Then you've wasted money.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to While She's Napping. I am Adam.
And I'm Cindy.
So we have some guests today. This is the first time we've had guests. How many episodes deep are we? 33? 34?
Yeah.
We have guests. Chris, Sara, Salty Seaman with you.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
How are we?
We're great.
Doing good.
Yeah.
You should definitely grow the beard out.
Yeah, and also
Yeah.
you don't wash your nether regions with your head shampoo.
No, I use the Nivea body wash for that.
Sure. It's
Wait, you
it's
don't?
similar hair texture is what I'm
Mhm.
saying.
Makes
So-
sense.
So the nether region shampoo, if there is such a thing, is for the beard too?
Sure.
This is news to me. I thought there was just
No, you
3 in 1.
absolutely can use your head shampoo. But do you have hair shampoo?
No.
I do. You're going to use my hair shampoo.
I just use body wash for the body.
You need really good moisturizing shampoo.
Yeah.
Hydrating.
Yeah, apparently you're not supposed to wash it every day.
No.
Yeah. No.
Well, I use the professional stuff, Sarah, from my hairdresser.
I'm really proud of you. Would you tell me, would you disclose the brand that you use?
I don't know.
Oh.
The one that she told me. She's like, this one, the blue bottle. I'm like, okay.
It's very
Sounds good.
It's in a cylinder? Is
Yes.
that the word? Yeah. As I'm doing this.
I want to know the brand. I need to know what brand you use.
I'll let you know.
I'll approve
Okay.
or not.
Yeah.
So, if you're not familiar with Chris and Sara, they are of the MySpace With You Season 1. MySpace With You Podcast Season 1 just concluded. You guys are, we talked about this 2-3 episodes ago. You guys are buying a boat or going to buy a boat. How's that process going?
We're
yeah.
That was a deep breath.
Yeah.
So we're almost there.
we are currently under contract with a boat.
Yeah.
It's just like buying a house. So we had to go do like a trial where we take it out in the ocean, make sure that
Right.
she sails well and make sure everything works properly. And then after that, we had to schedule like basically an inspection where someone comes out and does like a really thorough deep dive on the boat.
Mm.
So we just finished that up. We got our report back, just like a home inspection. There were some things with that weren't the greatest of news for us, and it was kind of an oh shit moment. Like, I wish that didn't happen, but
but
nothing
it's also
too
not
crazy.
that big of a deal.
Yeah, so hopefully everything's gonna go smooth. We maybe need to do some more negotiations with our price, but in the grand scheme of things, like, shit's happening.
Yeah.
Like, the boat, there's money already been spent on it. We have
Yeah.
money down. Financing has been like basically secured. Like, this is happening. So
It's awesome.
That's
for
good.
what it's worth.
Yeah.
So if anyone is in need of any nice furniture
In California.
in California, preferably San Diego, we have Everything Must Go
Yeah.
And a
sale.
haunted lamp.
Yeah.
Comes with the ghost, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that the process so far seems to, I know it's not an easy process. I'm sure it's very
Yeah.
frustrating, but I'm happy to hear that things are on the up and up, and that's cool. I mean, if you ever wanna, if and when you get that boat, if you ever want to sail your way to Rhode Island, that's got to be a long sail, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. I mean, that's like first trip.
I mean, that's
Sailing
why you're buying the boat,
right to you
In
guys.
like 30 years.
I mean, that is the trip, right?
Yep.
That's going to be the only trip because it's you probably. How would you go about doing that?
Panama
Down
Canal.
and
You
over.
have to go really far south.
Yeah, south and over.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
How does the internet work when?
What?
Ooh.
In general?
You
No,
are
no,
just
no.
really,
Why
you're
on
just
a
really
boat?
hitting on his little soft point right now.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
it's a constant struggle and it's a battle figuring that stuff out. Right now, I have all these great ideas, and as soon as we
Satellites.
move on to a boat, I'm sure that's all going to go to shit. But once Starlink and Elon Musk gets readily available for everybody, that's going to be the move for sure.
Yeah.
okay. That makes sense. All right, cool. Well, look, we're not. I decided it's probably best just skip the foreplay when
Okay.
it comes to. Hey, you should subscribe to our show. Just subscribe to the show. Damn it, subscribe. Today
Do
we are
it.
going to be talking about anti-intellectualism, and I think this is an important conversation to have because, God damn it, we just can't avoid, political discourse and stuff that has to do with, had to do with the election because it's over.
Mhm.
But of course, I post something as an asshole on my personal Instagram. And it was a correlation between the voting map, the electoral college map, and the most well-educated states in the United States. And of course, there's almost a direct correlation. It's almost identical. The higher regions of education voted blue, and the lower regions of education voted red. And that's not to say that all Republicans are stupid. That's not to say that all Democrats are brilliant. That's just to say there's a correlation between college-educated people and who they vote for, and non-college educated and who they vote for as well. And apparently that sparked some quote-unquote controversy between someone that we knew, and he took it personally, and I don't know what to say to that. But that's what sparked this this conversation today.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to add anything to that, or because you're giving me looks.
Sorry. I mean, I think it's just super relevant with, I think this conversation, it started a long time ago, but especially in the 2016 election, I think this conversation was sparked again. And now in this year, because of the 2020 election and with COVID on top of it, I think those are like the two main conversations where this is super relevant, and there's a ton of overlap. And I think that's why we can't avoid it, because the election is something that we're constantly talking about it, and you can't avoid COVID either.
Right.
And so it's just coming up more and more. And I think the fact that people are talking about it mostly online, because we're not seeing each other because of COVID, I think it illuminates this even further.
Yeah, I agree. And, we're probably going to offend some people. I certainly will, because I always do accidentally. It's never on purpose. But I don't mean to. But it should be noted that, as we unpack this, I want to make it clear to everyone and everyone listening, by no means do I think if you lack a college education, easy for me to say as a college educated person, by no means do I think you're stupid if you lack a college education. That's not at all what I'm saying. And this isn't an absolute sort of discussion, right? It doesn't necessarily entail that if you lack a college education, then you're definitely voting red. That's not how it necessarily works. There's just a large, number of support that if you are not college educated, that you're likely to vote Republican.
Yeah, I mean, it's used in politics. I feel like it's used like a category of demographics like anything else. And
Okay.
generally, college-educated people tend to be liberal.
So, let's start there. Sara, did you do any sort of investigation into anti-intellectualism, or did you guys just want to dive headfirst into this?
Well, I'll say first off that, having us on your show, we're going to be bringing in that perspective and that side of the table of having non-college educated minds being on there.
Speaking, you did do some college.
Sure.
I, however, have no college education.
But between the two of us, there is no college degree to speak
true.
of.
That's
Okay.
true.
So first and foremost, let's throw that out there. But
And we did not vote red.
There you go.
Right.
But back to your point there, I definitely had not really heard of the anti-intellectualism as a movement per se until it was kind of brought up. I was like, all right, yeah, that's kind of what maybe the left-leaning media sources are kind of calling this phenomenon that's happening. But then reading into it more, that there actually is people that pride themselves on kind of
Yes.
following the anti-intellectualism like movement. I was just like, what?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
an actual thing that, and it definitely correlates with Dunning-Kruger,
Mhm.
the effect. There's definitely a correlation between that. But, look, I will say right off the bat that even though I'm college educated, I am by far the dumbest in this room right here, out of the four of us. So that number one, that
I doubt
proves
it.
that if you have a college education, you're not that bright. But
Not only do you have a college education, it's in philosophy.
Yeah.
Which is super relevant to this.
But then people are like,
Exactly.
that's a waste.
No, it's not.
It's a waste. But all right, so let's start there. Chris, you sort of kicked it off by saying it's a movement. This is an actual, sort of, it's gaining ground ever since prior to Trump being elected in 2016 and sort of through it. And it's very, very hyper active right now. It's this movement that basically wants to shoot down the aspect of those that are educated, that do have high intellect, and want to say, look, just because I'm not college educated doesn't mean I'm stupid, which is true. But they say my opinion and my surface level research on things like vaccines or election fraud or, I don't know, climate change, just to name a few, I can have surface level opinion and they're just as valid as those in the top percentile of intellect, and you can't separate the two. And that's simply not true. There is definitely something to be said about having expertise in a certain field and having, experience and tenure in a certain field of study, that you should be pretty much, respected. Is that the word? Or, I don't know. What am I? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if you're someone who's dedicated your entire life to studying a specific thing, a specific issue, or in a specific field, and someone Googles something or watches a YouTube video and researches it even for like a week, that's not comparable.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, it's like your credible information source versus a non-credible source, all Facebook posts, YouTube documentaries, those sort of things, where somebody can digest this information and then automatically assume that they're a subject matter expert.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's crazy.
So I think that is what's kicking this off, and what's setting this into high gear are things like Facebook and YouTube that have, in their core, their essence is to sort of give you that emotional response and to sort of, trigger you one way or the other. So let's start there. Let's start with how the internet is sort of influencing this movement, and why is this sort of a new phenomenon, and why specifically has Trump, in my view, sort of highlighted this and brought this out into the forefront. I don't know if you guys, Chris, Sarah, have any experience with seeing or know people that have fallen victim to clear Facebook misinformation and people sort of latching on to it.
Yeah.
And if you have, you can share it up to the extent that you feel comfortable doing so.
Yeah. So, I mean, this for me has been something that's been heavy for me, like, especially this most recent year, just because, I mean, I'll tell you what, in my opinion, the problem is the problem I feel like is majority lying in our like older generations, you know, like kind of our parents' age, maybe 50s, 60s and beyond. And the issue is, you know, technically speaking, we've now been on the internet longer than they have.
Right.
And at that age point, they just simply don't have a true understanding and a true grasp of how the internet works, just in general, you know? So then you have something like Facebook where, you know, they kind of came onto it maybe as the start to stay connected with old college friends or, you know, people. Like it started out so innocent and then it became this very much political, you know, thing, this place to kind of shed all your political opinions, spread them onto everybody, and they don't understand that just because you see something on the internet doesn't make it real, right? So I've definitely have experienced personal issues with this. I have someone in my family who is very highly educated, very smart man, but he also falls into the boat of being uber religious. And I feel like him being on Facebook, like he'll see stuff that's posted on Facebook and he's been guilty of reposting stuff that is completely made up. Like, for example, if I can just give you an example.
Of course.
At the beginning of this year, it's my dad. So let's just put it out there.
All right.
So he basically, like, for a while, like, it almost kind of became like a game Chris and I would play of like, oh, let's go onto Facebook, because we don't really have Facebook anymore. Like, technically our account still exists, but we don't use it, right? So we'd be like, oh, let's go on Facebook and see like what the latest BS that like my dad has posted, you know? And usually it was just pretty like comical, like nothing serious. But at the beginning of this year, he reposted a post of Bernie Sanders, a picture of him being taken by police like back in like the 1960s.
Yeah, the classic one that everybody sees of him.
The classic one that everyone sees. And the caption reads, Bernie Sanders arrested for throwing eggs at black people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So clearly the totally opposite narrative, you know, being painted than what was actually going on. And that was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back for us. We're like, all right, this was all fun and games, but now we have to actually like address this, because this is like hateful information and disinformation that's being spread, and it's starting to cause issues. So,
and the thing that's hard is like you have someone in that boat who is religious, right? And who, when you know that person for who they are as a person, like my dad's like the most loving, like caring, like sweetest man on the planet. And so knowing that, you're just like, okay, like that makes no sense. Like that's not who you are. Like, what are you doing posting something like that, you know? And so basically, long story short, I ended up calling him to like confront him on it, which I've never done before. My family's never talked politics. And I call him and then he FaceTimes me. So then I had to like say it to his face, which that fucking sucked.
Was he like, sorry, I missed your call, honey, here's the FaceTime instead?
No, like he answered the phone, but then FaceTimed me.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
All right.
And so, and of course, like my dad is like my dad. He's like, hey, sugar plum, how you doing? Like he's so sweet.
Hey, Dad.
I'm just like, hey, Dad. Anyways, so basically, I told him what he did. I told him why it was wrong. You know, long story short, I laid it all out there for him. And thankfully, he was very well receiving of it. And he was like, you're totally right. Like, that's not who I am. I don't want to be spreading hate. And I basically just said it. I'm like, look, clearly we are on opposite sides of the spectrum. And I want you to know that that's perfectly okay. I'm not calling you to try to like convert you over to my side. Right. So like, that's not what this is about. I was like, but you know, it's important that if you're going to post something, first, one, takes 3 seconds to fact check something.
Exactly.
Right? So do that. 2, you know, instead of posting something that is like hateful and kind of bashing on the other side, I'm like, look, if you want to post something that's like positive and like in support of something you believe in, then like do that. Like if there's something that in your opinion Trump has done that's like really positive, post that. Like, but don't be posting stuff that's like bashing down the other side. You know what I mean? So thankfully he was like well receiving of it. And pretty much ever since then, I feel like his political posting has really like cut down a lot. So, but like that's the issue, right? Is like you have that generation who just doesn't understand how the internet works, and they see something, they take it at face value and they spread it, and because you see that and it's alarming. It's like, oh, well, that's terrible. Like, people need to know that Bernie Sanders was throwing eggs at black people. And like, you want to get the word out that this is a terrible person. It's like, well, fact check.
We talked about that. I forget which episode it was. We talked about, I think it was our episode on the generations, millennials and boomers. Yeah. And I think part of that is, you know, when our parents' generation were growing up, they could take news at face value because there wasn't, the social media wasn't a thing. Like you read the newspaper and you could take that at face value that was most likely true. And, you know, you heard the news on TV and that was all true. You didn't have to go and fact check it and go down this rabbit hole of trying to figure out the sources and everything. You could just trust it. Yeah. And I think that's probably the knee-jerk reaction when you see something posted on social media. It's like, oh, it's news. Yeah. You know, it's so I definitely think there's a mindset thing there.
And I think it's like, like they come from a generation of not having like trolls on the internet, right? Like people who are looking to stir up shit, right? So it's like, that's so true. Like they come from a time where basically mostly what was said was probably pretty factual. And it's just a different time, and their heads really haven't just wrapped around that yet, you know?
And now I feel like there's this knee-jerk reaction about the mainstream media and trying to find things that go against what we're being told in the mainstream, when in reality, for the most part, I feel like the mainstream is mainstream for a reason, because it has credible sources and people who are professional journalists and investigate their stories and do their due diligence, and that's why they have these jobs in this field. But I feel like when you see something like that, it's like, oh, I found something that other people don't know, and I have to share this. Like this, the truth needs to get out.
It's the gotcha.
Like, yes,
right, and that's what it is. That's what disturbs me. If we're gonna stick to this Bernie Sanders example, it's sort of twofold. Someone made that knowing it wasn't true, right? Totally. Someone made that knowing some people are going to believe this.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's A. And B, it's those that are sharing it, they're like, we got him.
Yeah. Right. Totally.
Explain this one, libs.
Yeah.
Well, it makes me think of your guys' episode when you guys talked about Q and how you guys talked about how, you know, there's this use of like explosive language, right? It's like, you know, a cabal of, you know, pedophiles and whatnot. And it's like, there's this thing that's happening where it's more explosive vocabulary that's also like occurring on top of, like you have people who mean well, right? So it's like, take for account people who are religious. They, for the most part, mean well and want what's right in the world. So when they hear Bernie Sanders throwing eggs at black people, or there's a cabal of pedophiles like
that happen to all be
drinking babies' blood, they in their, you know, knee-jerk reaction, they're like, oh, that's terrible. Like, we need to fight against this. Like, so I get how the brainwashing is happening. You know what I mean? Like, I get how the manipulation is happening because it's happening to innocent people who do want good for the world.
And I'll say this about the anti-intellectual like movement. I understand the disconnect where maybe people in rural areas where maybe higher education isn't so sought after and isn't so prevalent, where they're like, there's this disconnect between people who are highly educated versus like the common folk per se. And I understand that. But where you're starting to see this issue starting is that in the political realm, in that sort of world, you see that being targeted and you see it being weaponized now with those people to kind of spread this false narrative out there to use it for political gains.
I think that's a good point. And I think that's important to note that, you know, those within the more rural areas, so we'll talk about, I guess, the Midwestern areas, right? Because if you if you consider the coasts, those are generally more liberal areas, right? Maybe the exception of Florida. And the Carolinas. But if we're talking about Midwest, maybe, and again, this is, I'm pretty much putting my ignorance on the table here when it comes to the lifestyle within the Midwest. Maybe a college education isn't necessary as much as it is on the coast, right? Because those jobs that are very hand to land aren't really available on the coast as much as they are in the Midwest, right? So if you maybe because we don't have those opportunities, for the lack of a better way to put it, we need to seek a college education. Most people, especially now growing up, I argue that it's very difficult for someone that is 18 coming out of high school today in 2020, finding a job like that and being able to support themselves
for sure
through and through.
Yeah.
You know, and have the goal of getting married or buying a house, starting a family, whatever. I bet you that is almost impossible now, especially on the coast. Maybe that's not the case in the Midwest. Maybe.
Well, and I feel like in the Midwest, like, I just feel like in more rural areas in general, like, I feel like you have oftentimes a lot of like family, like handed down businesses too, that is oftentimes occurring. And so it's kind of like you said, it's a college education might not necessarily be necessary, right? So it's like if you have a farm, if you have whatever sort of like family owned business, a lot of times it's being passed down and passed down and passed down into generations upon generations where they're not having it's just
more
being
importantly,
passed down.
those trade skills is what is being passed down. Where it's like, you know, my family's been mechanics for 4 generations. It's like I'm geared to be a mechanic. Or same thing with farming, which is heavily prevalent in those Midwestern type states where you don't see those family owned and operated farms like in San Diego, for example.
Exactly,
doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So how did this become a movement, though? That's what I'm struggling with, and I don't necessarily think those. If we're going to politicize this, those all right. So those that are part of the anti-intellectual movement are primarily leaning right, if not completely right.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It is. Totally
and those that are quote unquote the intellectuals or the elite are on the left. Right. So how did this, I understand how the divide happened, but why is there a movement of such pushback towards intellect? Because for me, intellect is something that I think before I even knew what anti-intellectualism was, intellect was something to be admired. Intellect was something to strive for. It didn't matter what field it was. If you had high knowledge in the medical field or even the farming field, mechanic, whatever it is, you admired that type of knowledge, right? What I'm wondering is, how did this divide happen? And I think it's because, and again, the left isn't free from blame, there was a certain sense of arrogance that, those in the intellectual community, those like professors or scientists, doctors, what have you, had an air of sort of, I don't know, I'm better than you, superiority.
Elitism.
There was a sort of stop child. I'll handle all of this. You sit down and read your Dr. Seuss while I am over here reading Poe or whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
I do think there was a sense of that, maybe not outward, that I don't know, that explicit, but I do think there was a sense of,
Totally.
hey, we are better than you, and it's because we're intellectuals, and therefore we're more valuable and better people than you.
I think. Go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say that I feel like that crack has always been there, and I don't know if this is a good transition to make towards like Trumpism, things like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like that administration and what they were targeting really saw that divide and that crack between those two different types of people and really exploited that.
Yeah, I was going to go back to what you said earlier about it being weaponized, and I think it comes full circle with the social media aspect. And so this is totally like in line with what we were saying earlier about people Googling something that they really don't know anything about and think they have the facts. So I could be wrong, but I Googled this, and the first thing that comes up is a book that was written in the 60s called Anti-Intellectualism in the American Life.
Oh.
And it won the Pulitzer Prize in 1964.
Well, look at that. I'll be damned.
So, yeah.
This isn't new.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I was going to say.
Well, hold on. When was this written?
1963, and it won the
That does
Pulitzer in
not surprise
1964.
me. That does not surprise me at all. Because if you think about the other times that there has been strong political, adversaries going against each other, we would classify that as now, and we compare now to the 60s.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think it was happening, but because the internet and social media wasn't a thing, I don't think it grew and gained the momentum that it has now. And it wasn't like people couldn't so easily share that misinformation, and it couldn't be weaponized like it is. Like, I know, Sarah, you said that you guys just watched The Social Dilemma. We watched it a few weeks ago too. And it's exactly that. It's these platforms are showing you exactly what they want you to see to exploit confirmation bias and show you the things that are going to get you worked up and the things that are going to reinforce the beliefs that you already have.
Yeah.
And so I think that's how it's become such a movement now, even though it's always existed. It's just everywhere.
It disappoints me because it's I don't know. It's something that now I have to sort of defend to certain people. I have to defend when I have some sort of opinion on something, right? So if someone brings something to the table, let's just talk about, I don't know, climate change, because that's easy, and there are clear divides when it comes to that. When someone says, hey, climate change, I don't think is real, and I say, well, look, there's data to support that it is. Data. Well, how do you measure facts, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the disconnect, is that there is no sort of, extensive reasoning. There's no extensive explanation when it comes to their position, right?
Yeah.
It's all surface level. And I think I legitimately wonder if they realize the extent in which that they are leaving out so much information, or are they so convinced that no, my opinion is just as valuable as yours, and that's where it ends. And that's what worries me, because there is an art to research, there is an art to fact checking, there is an art to making sure you have everything in line to come to a cogent argument or position. And I don't know that is something that is, I don't know, lost on them. I don't know. I don't know if this is just an act just to sort of elevate that demographic, or if they thoroughly believe, no, I am just as intelligent as you, and the sort of Dunning-Kruger effect.
I have a couple thoughts. So one, it's like, I feel like there's a big difference between ignorance and being, anti-intellectualism. It's like,
Sure.
you don't have to be college educated to still inform yourself and be informed, right? And it's like, yes, there is an art to fact checking. Yes, there is an art to kind of seeking the truth, which unfortunately there used to be a time where it didn't really feel like you had to do that. And so there is an art to learning how to do that. But then on top of that, you have, things like Social Dilemma pointed out, how like basically every single person's Google search is going to be different and is going to be catered to them and like what they are used to, looking up. So you have a couple different issues, but at the same time, I just think that like at the end of the day, I think it's an excuse. The whole anti-intellectualism movement, it's an excuse. And it's not to say that like you need to be college educated to match up to that point, but it's like you can still spend time informing yourself and having a valid opinion that goes beyond that surface level, like, oh, well, I looked something up on YouTube and this is now what I think. It's just like, you can do more due diligence, like you can do better. And to have a movement that is going so against, like basically saying if you're college educated or if you're an intellect or you're smart at whatever point, if you're smarter than me, then fuck you. Like that's just an excuse. Like that's pointing a finger with three fingers pointing back. You know what I mean? I don't know.
It makes me wonder. No, I think that's solid, and it makes me wonder why is this so heightened now, right? Is it just because of the election, or past two elections, or is it something deeper? Has there been sort of a sociological rip between two sides that maybe those that are part of the anti-intellectual movement have a point? Maybe there is some sort of disregard. I'm not saying that their opinions are worth just the same. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that they have, the exact same stake in the game. I'm saying, do they have a point of feeling sort of disregarded? Do they have a point of feeling, for lack of a better way to put it, disenfranchised?
Totally. I think they're, like I was saying before, this concept, and kind of like Cindy was bringing out, is not a new concept. There's been that divide where the people who are the common folk, so to say, feel this disconnect between those who have this college education and these more well-informed, like, well, you're not taking in our best interest as people who are the common people of wherever you're from. But where we're at now, I feel like is a totally different ball game, just because now we're in this weird area that, before facts were facts, it's like you couldn't dispute raw data, but now everything is in the time of it being fake news, where that's the excuse for everything. It's like, here's the hard data. It's like, this is the scientific research. Well, that's fake news. That was coming from these people and it's no longer credible. And it's like, well, now we're in this position where you can't believe anything, or somebody can just make an excuse saying, oh, that's fake news. I don't believe it because it's not coming from the news source that I listen to. So therefore, I can discredit it and it doesn't matter.
Well, and yeah, I was just going to say, like, I think on top of all of that, with this movement specifically, like, it's very known that it is more far right leaning, right? Yes. So it is generally the right side that thinks this way. So my issue that I have with that is I just feel like, generally speaking, like historically, the right, if you will, has really never supported like funds for education, like in a political stance. Like, maybe there's been times where they have, but like as a general whole, like they're always trying to like put funds elsewhere and like defund education. And for me, I just feel like, especially with this last, presidency with Trump in office, I just feel like it's been their plan from the very beginning. Like, when you have these high-up politicians who are on the right side, who are very smart, who know what they're doing, they don't want to support education because an uneducated population is easy to manipulate.
Right.
And the smarter you have of a population, you can't conquer that. So I just feel like, in my opinion, this is something that they know that they're doing, that they have always planned to do. And especially when Trump got into office, like everyone said, like they've really exploited that. So now you have all these lower level people, the quote common folk, who lean on that side, who have now been manipulated to believe that being smart is some sort of weapon, is some sort of bad thing and is not credible anymore.
Yeah, I think you're bang on, and it's really disappointing that we've come to that point. We've come to the point where it has to be not only politicized, but sort of weaponized.
Yeah.
To heighten and elevate a certain side. But all right, look, we are approximately 40 minutes deep. Let's take a pause.
Yeah.
You want to take a pause?
Yeah.
You guys want to experience the pause?
Oh,
yes, we're so
All right.
excited for the pause.
We'll be right back. Hang tight.
Okay, so I think we kind of started talking about something that is really important in this conversation is opinions and facts, and how those two things are. I feel like those two words are thrown around so much and used interchangeably when they mean very different things.
Absolutely.
Right.
And it was so funny. I was watching, I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. There's a movie called Inside Out. It's a Disney Pixar movie.
Mhm.
And our daughter loves it. And it's a really cute movie, actually. And there's this one scene that I just find hilarious. They, so in the movie, the main characters are all emotions that live inside of a little girl's brain. That's like the scene.
Mhm.
And they're on a couple of the emotions. Joy is the main character, and she's with sadness, and they're on the train of thought. That's their transportation throughout the brain.
Mhm.
And the cargo on the train of thought are these crates, and they accidentally knock one over and a bunch of stuff falls out, and she goes, "Oh no, it all spilled. All these opinions and facts, they're all getting mixed together." And she's like, that's okay. It happens all the time. Like, yes, that's exactly it. It's like
Yeah.
the perfect like illustration of what happens on Facebook or in a conversation with someone about any of these topics: climate change, vaccines, COVID, whatever.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's another default. Like Chris brought up fake news. Like that's just the whatever. That's your way to blow it off.
Mhm.
I think that's another one when people say, "Oh, well, it's just my opinion. It's okay for us to disagree." It's like,
Yeah.
about like what your favorite color is, but like that's an opinion.
Yeah.
That's not the same thing as debating, reality from something that's completely false.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It makes me, question. All right, so when people put out this misinformation, and Sarah, the example of the Bernie with the eggs and whatnot and getting arrested, or the Plandemic YouTube thing that happened, or any of the Sleepy Joe, or even his son, all the emails, all this
thing.
new emails, October surprise. There's some sort of obviously that's weaponized. Obviously that's trying to push out misinformation. And I don't think that's sort of atypical when it comes to a presidential race, maybe to the point in which it's this personal. It is, but you look at past presidential races, they'll say something shitty about their opponent.
Sure.
They'll say, oh, this person wanted to do this, and sort of skew it to fit their sort of landscape and to fit what they want to sell to their base and the independents to sort of sway them. But what makes me wonder about things today when it comes to the internet, like Q or the Plandemic or climate change deniers or anything that Steve Bannon publishes or whatever, is their goal to stir up the pot and to make people more divided? Or we'll take that Bernie Sanders thing. The person that published that, do you think that person believed this was legit and they just put it out there without, this Bernie Sanders getting arrested, he must have threw eggs at black people, that's got to be it? Or is it, no, this is going to really stir the pot? Because either way, it's very irresponsible. So either you don't have your facts straight and you're just putting it out there just to get a rise out of people, or this isn't true
Yeah.
and you're just putting it out there to get a rise out of people.
Exactly.
I feel like whoever like the original creator of that post was, it obviously, like you said, like they clearly made that knowing it wasn't true. And I believe that, however, down the chain of telephone that is fucking Facebook of reposting, like, eventually enough people saw it who don't know who that original source is from anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's this game of telephone that happens when you're reposting after reposting after reposting, that it no longer matters where did this come from? What was the original source? It's just a matter of seeing it, believing it, and I need to tell everyone else. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that, yes, I think that when it comes to false information, any sort of these memes or any sort of post that is made, especially on Facebook of all places, that original creator of whatever that controversial post is absolutely knows it's not fucking real. Like, they know that it's false. But unfortunately, by the time it reaches person number 1,207,
very specific.
That original creator is no longer even a question. It's just like, oh shit, this is being passed around, so that it must be real.
Well, this is probably where it all came about, though. It's like you start looking into like the interference in these Facebook farms of misinformation, specifically with Russia interfering in that aspect. I guarantee you that's where that stuff originated.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that original creator could have totally been like,
and that almost makes sense to me, because I'm thinking while you're talking, I'm like, why would anybody genuinely want to cause this division? It's like, because I want to think like of the best in people. People have good intentions regardless or whatever, but it's like, then you're like, oh no, like it's other people who are going to benefit from having division within our country. Then you start thinking about Russia interference and things like that, and you're like, it's exactly what they're trying to do, is to tear the country apart. Now, whether or not with the Trump administration, how they kind of steered into that and kind of reinforced that division, they were probably thinking, the further divided we can get our base from being centrist and being totally on the right, versus having somebody maybe be like, oh, that policy makes some sense, maybe I could maybe I will vote to the left on this one. They were probably steering into that, thinking we want 100% of our voters to be ironclad with our policies and being on our side, so let's steer into that division more, which was facilitating exactly what foreign governments were trying to do within our democracy and tear apart.
But like, let's take like the creator of Q, right? Like, we all know that was some fucking troll on 4chan.
Oh, for sure.
Who
We know that.
Who again obviously wanted to stir the pot. Right? So it's like, maybe what starts out as like a fucking like, let me just stir the pot, this is kind of a joke, nobody's gonna take this seriously. But oh shit, looks like millions of people did. So
now they're stuck.
Well, now I'm committed.
Exactly.
Now I got to be Q forever. No, but it makes me wonder. We're talking about how Trump sort of took advantage of this, and whether or not you want to agree with his policies, I certainly don't. Whether or not you want to agree with it, it's sort of, I don't know, I don't want to say brilliant, but it is smart of him to say, okay, well, I might as well use this to my advantage if it's going to make me president.
Yeah.
It makes you low, it makes you scum, but if you want the result, this is how you get it. It makes me wonder, could he have gotten to be president without it? Does this misinformation need to be peddled in order for someone to be politically successful?
Well,
right? Do you need that sort of misinformation? Do you need the peddling of Sleepy Joe or Hunter Biden? Do you need that stuff when maybe all you need is to rely on your policy? Because it's not like these hardcore Trump supporters were going to make a fucking 180 and go, you know what? Joe Biden's policies align with me. I don't think you need that misinformation to sort of sway those people.
Yeah.
But when you have no policy to fall back on, that's your strategy.
Yeah. Just emotion.
Yep.
Appeal to the emotion.
Well, and I feel like Trump has like numerous times, like he's admitted that like he's not smart. He hires smart people to do the work for him. So
I tell you, he's the smartest person in the world, though.
I mean, at the same time, but I just feel like he is smart in the sense of like he's a master manipulator. He knows how to manipulate people, and he's manipulated everyone on his administration. Like he's a fucking like mob boss. Like people are scared of like, I mean, think about everyone who he fucking fired, like that, you know?
Right.
And so it's like people are at this point in his administration are probably scared for their jobs and are like, fuck, you know, go along with whatever he says, spread whatever he says, because they're looking out for themselves at this point, you know? So then you have a whole other component.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do they have to lose now? They're not going to have a job in January, but holiday season. I get it. You need to make that money for the holidays. Yeah,
but it's so true, because we were just talking about that. Like, Chris and I were just talking about, like, how have all these people not, like, kind of come out against Trump now? Because it's like, what do they have to lose? Because if you keep double downing and like supporting him, like you're definitely not gonna have a job. So
you're not gonna have a job.
It's
regardless.
like, what are you doing? You know, it just doesn't make sense.
Making that holiday paycheck. You need to get that Christmas goose. I don't know. It just, for me, it there is an element that, you know, when we're talking about, we could talk about the pandemic right now.
Yeah.
You know, bringing it back to the anti-intellectualism movement. There is some hardcore resistance to someone like Dr. Fauci, and someone that is clear, concise, and he doesn't even have any sense of arrogance when it comes to his delivery. It's sort of just straightforward. You have these people that are in the QAnon movement or that are part of the pandemic movement or whatever, anti-vaxxers, what have you, that say, you know, Dr. Fauci doesn't know what's best for me. I know what's best for me. The government doesn't know what's best for my health. I know what's best for my health. But at the same time, Cindy, you made this point yesterday. They rely on the FDA for their food and to make sure that's safe. They are not welling, for the most part, their own water. They're relying on the local governments and the federal governments to make sure their water is in check, and that's keeping them healthy. But they don't bat an eye about that. It seems to be that whatever sense of interference or any sort of adjustment that you have in your day-to-day life, whether it be political correctness or the way we have to operate under a pandemic, it seems that the resistance is there, where it's, you can't tell me how to live and what to say and what to do. That is fundamentally un-American. I know better than you. That's the cause of the resistance. And if that's the case, there is a sense, I feel, to those that, you know, have an understanding of what's going on. They say to themselves, well, look, there is some sense of sacrificing your petty desires for the greater good, right? We need to sort of hone back on the activities that we have socially when it comes to times during COVID. We need to sort of open our minds when it comes to our communication and how we treat other people. When it comes to, I don't know, new terminology, whether that be pronouns or whatever, we need to sort of make these adjustments in order to fucking live together in the same communal space known as the fucking country of America. Preach.
Yep. The individualistic thing completely falls apart when you're talking about a public health crisis or any of the things that you mentioned. Like the government, it is their job to protect public health. That's why we have regulations around food safety and water quality and all of these other things and clean air. Like that's so that everybody can survive.
Your own game, right? Huh? That's why you can't sell your own game.
Right. There's regulations because you
don't know what you're doing
to contaminated.
That.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to something like this virus, I mean, that's the same thing. Like your individual choices. If you're not an at-risk person, you're not a high-risk person, and you're going around asymptomatically spreading it to people who could end up dying from it. Yeah, if you're not going to take it on yourself to be responsible, then it is the government's job to step in and try to protect the public at large. I mean, that argument falls apart so fast for me. But I think the thing that I keep seeing in relation to all of this is this oversimplification of the concept and it boiling down to a talking point that sounds good and sounds smart.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes, I guess it's kind of like that gotcha thing too. Like specifically about the comment that sparked this conversation we had yesterday was a comment I saw on Facebook of someone saying, of course, yeah. Someone saying in regards to the pandemic, was... It's not the government's job is to protect my rights. It's my job to protect my health. And it's like, I can imagine this person is literally putting that comment on every post that he sees about COVID. Like that's what he thinks. He's boiled it down to this like 2-sentence, snippet that sounds good.
Right.
But it doesn't have any of the nuance or anything behind or any consideration for anything outside of that bubble that he's thinking about, specifically about COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the same thing that happens for like climate change and, anti-vaxxers. They hear like in the anti-vax community, it's, oh, it has aluminum in it. Did you know that like this is the level of aluminum that's not allowed to be in your food, but there's this in the vaccine? It's like, because you're eating the food, you're not injecting it into your it's a completely different form of ingestion. Like
you poop it out.
It's not going into your body in the same way. Like that matters. They just eliminate entire components of the concept that completely change the argument.
But logic
they latch onto the one thing.
Matters. That's the thing.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's kind of like, I feel like it's kind of like, it's like they're saying something without saying anything at all, right? So it's like, I don't know if you guys...
It sounds good.
I don't know. Exactly. So I don't know if you guys have... I'm going to bring it up. Have you guys watched The Vow on HBO?
No.
Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay, so basically it's all about like this...
I'm over here watching Disney Pixar every day of my life, Sara.
Yeah, don't watch The Vow. It'll fuck you up. But it's basically... So it's a documentary series about this company, Nexium, who was posing as this like...
Oh, is this the blood thing?
Well, we know what Nexium is.
It's like a self-help.
Yeah, it's like a self...
Yeah, the cult.
Oh, this is the cult with the branding.
Yep.
Yes,
The guy just got convicted.
Like, So The Vow it's a documentary on that, right?
Okay.
And it just makes me think of that because the whole time Chris and I are watching this documentary series and there's all this footage of like in their classes and like the teachings and stuff. Chris is like, I don't get it. Like, they're literally not saying anything. Like, I'm so confused how people are being so manipulated because they're literally not saying anything.
It's just stringing together words and sounding like you have this well-articulated point of view and this philosophy, and people are like, I'll do whatever you say. That sounded awesome.
It's the delivery.
It's all about delivery. That's kind of like what my point is like that's how this is all happening because it's all about not only like the choice of vocabulary that's being used, but it's all in the delivery and how psychologically it is really crazy how we can just so quickly grasp onto something just because of the way that it's delivered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that is what traps people that don't do extensive research and that don't sort of unpack what is being said. Chris, if I'm sure if you were in the room, you'd say, bro, you're not saying anything at all right now, to which you'd probably be met with a lot of backlash, right? If hypothetically, if you were in this environment, there'd be a lot of backlash because I think the reason for the backlash, if there are any sort of quote unquote naysayers in that environment, it's you are disrupting how I'm feeling right now.
Exactly.
You are disrupting this sense of comfort or if we're talking about those in the anti-intellectualism movement, you're disrupting the sense of elevated pride that I have in myself and how I'm feeling good about myself. And you correcting me or correcting this course or enlightening me to a different sort of point of view is really disrupting my lifestyle right now. And I don't want that. I don't want this feel-good moment to go away, even though if I do have that taken away from me and I am sort of enlightened to a more objective truth, inching towards an objective truth, I am better as a result. I think that is sort of human nature to sort of stay put in your comfort zones because why I think that's just part of human nature. Yeah, that was a little redundant, but saying that I like to be in my comfort space and I don't want anybody disrupting that, I think that is, I don't know, that's not atypical for people, and I think we all, in a way, are guilty of it, but this is sort of maximized and heightened to such a degree that it reaches absurdity.
Yeah.
And it really disrupts the way people think and how that information is spread. It really tends to fuck with other people's sensibilities and ideologies. So in a way, it makes me question whether or not people are just, maybe they are smartened up to the fact that, hey, this might not work, but it still makes me feel good and I can't let that go.
Yeah. I mean, like, I feel like we live by a saying, all you know is all you know.
Right.
There's literally no more true statement. So all you choose to know is all you will ever know. You know what I mean? So it's like, if people are fighting against, you know, seeking out more information because it makes them uncomfortable, like, they're always just going to be stuck in that box, you know? And there is just no way around it. Like,
got to keep a crack in the door.
You got to keep a crack in your door.
That crack in the door.
You know, like, you do, but it's just like, that's what it comes down to. Like, at the end of the day, like, ignorance is bliss. Like, if you choose to stay ignorant on something, then you don't have to have a valid emotion or opinion about something else. Like, you know, as long as you stay in your little comfort zone and you choose to not know more, then you can validate your emotions that way. You know what I mean?
And you have social media there to validate it for you,
Yeah.
to constantly reinforce the message. And it's also natural, I think, to interact with people who share your opinions and beliefs.
Yeah.
And so you're naturally going to end up surrounding yourself with people who will continue to reinforce it and not encourage you to step outside of that comfort zone and look a little deeper.
Yeah, but there's always that seed of doubt, right? I thoroughly believe this is legit, because if you talk to someone that, let's just say, I don't know, I think climate change is a bad example, because it's I don't know. The science is sort of difficult for someone to understand when it comes to being a layman. It's sort of easy to dismiss and say, "Oh, I don't believe it. It's still cold out." But when it comes
like
to
the senator who brought a snowball to the Senate floor and said this is
like,
proof that climate change doesn't exist.
Climate change for me is like, and I don't know if maybe my perspective is just different than the rest of the world because I live in California, but I'm like, fuck you if you don't believe in climate change, because my state is constantly burning on fire.
Yeah, it's on fire.
Like, worse and worse and worse every single year. And for me, like, sorry, I get a little sensitive to this because I have, you know, a firefighter husband, and it's like, we continue to have like record firefighter deaths because of this. So it's like, fuck you. Like our Mother Nature is like screaming at us, and she's like, hello, like, I need help. And our fires in California and all of our, you know, hurricanes and extreme weathers elsewhere is such a testament to fucking climate change. So fuck you for being an idiot. Sorry.
Yeah, but it snows in Boston, so climate change can't be real. I'm just saying. No, obviously that is terrible reasoning, but I can see why people easily dismiss it. I don't agree with it, but because they don't understand the nuances
that's what I was saying.
Other areas.
Right, it's so oversimplified. Like, it's in
their bubble.
Right, because there's a snowball in my hand, obviously the world can't be warmer than it was.
Right.
Like, or the argument of our carbon levels in the atmosphere are the same that they were however many millions of years ago. Okay, what does that prove? Because humans weren't alive at the time that you're talking about, so you're proving the point that when the carbon in the atmosphere was that level.
Atmosphere.
Sorry, that came out weird. When the carbon was, I was gonna say air, and it came out weird. Anyway, when the carbon was at that level, humans didn't exist. So that's the whole point.
That's the story of Jesus.
Yeah.
But no, it's more that when we're talking about reinforcing that bias when it comes to anything political, because that's the easy go-to, that's the, the low-hanging fruit here. It makes me wonder if you do sort of explain to someone, because I've had conversations with people about the pandemic and saying, no, dude, you're sort of being selfish when it comes to whatever you want. It's not that you should be able to do whatever you want. There is a sense of right now we have to sacrifice for the greater good. We have to operate under the understanding that we need to, look out for each other. And there may be people more vulnerable than you, or you may be more vulnerable than you think. You don't even know it yet. So we should sort of scale things back. I do think there is, and I don't necessarily think this is unique to people that talk about the pandemic and defend lockdowns or defend, having stricter protocols. But when you have these conversations with people, even if on the surface they disagree with you, when you present facts in a cogent way, when you have like a deductive argument about what's going on, and you plant that seed, I do think, even though maybe later on the line they'll be talking on Facebook, that will always ring true to them. They'll always say, yeah, but I can't argue against that. I can't come up with something as, robust as what was said to me about why we need to look after each other. So maybe there is some surface level bullshit and they're just pandering to their base or to their peers about, lockdowns are terrible. We should, my liberties. I want to go to Applebee's. But at the same time, they're saying, hey, but you know what? I should look out for people. I want to believe that happens.
Yeah. I mean, I just had a client literally the other day who was like, yeah, I pretty much think COVID's bullshit. Like, I think like these people would have already died. And I'm like, yeah, eventually they would have. But like, I basically said that. I was like, these are all people who would have had a life on Earth right now if it weren't for COVID.
Right.
And yeah, maybe they would have died a year from now. Maybe they would have died 30 years from now. Like, just because they had a pre-existing condition. I'm like, but that's still a life that we could have helped saved by doing our part and doing the right thing, And I definitely saw her wheels kind of go like, yeah, maybe you're right. Like,
but she'll meet with her friends and have that reinforced. But I still think in the back of her mind, she'll say, "Oh, but what Sarah said kind of makes a lot of sense."
Mm-hmm. But the other piece of that, the next step then is being able to admit that you don't know everything and that maybe you were wrong, and be able to change your opinion,
or admit
based
you're
on
stupid.
New information.
This guy right here.
That's
me.
It's a tough fight to be had. I think we should all be wearing like hats that say like make facts real again or something,
Right?
It's like, I think that's the biggest struggle that we're going to be having moving forward into the new, normalized regime of things and politics being boring again. Hopefully we get back to the position where facts are facts again, and that we can trust that when hardcore data comes out that we can believe that is factual and real. But
right, and default to the people who are experts in whatever it is that we're talking about. Like, since when is the general public more knowledgeable or more qualified to make decisions about public health and a pandemic than
it's not seen, right? So if you break your arm and you go to the doctor and the doctor's like, this is what you do to fix this visible thing. Your arm's broken in half. I can fix that for you. They rely on it because it's visible, it's tangible. But when it comes to an pretty much invisible virus, I don't know that's real. I don't see
unless it's an invisible god, right?
That's true. That's true. Fair. Touche. Touche. Not 3 or 1. 2.
That's real.
Touche.
Yeah.
No, I look, and Chris, this is a perfect segue that you brought up. How do we combat this? I don't know that I don't know how far we are into the muck of this that we can sort of rely on hard data and the new administration or whatever. It could be a model to say, look at all this, look at the hard data that I have, and it's legit. And people are going to say, wow, that's a long sheet, must be real. Let's believe that. How do we course correct all this?
I think the cat is out of the bag on this one. I think that that's going to be the hardest thing moving forward, is we are so divided. It's like, I don't see an easy transition where everybody that was so, like, this is the hill that I'm willing to die on is just going to, lay down their arms and be like, okay, yeah, you guys are right. I think that moving forward, and this is going to be something that we're going to continue to see, administration after administration is trying to repair this division that has been caused over the last 4 years. I have faith that we are moving in the right direction and we can do that. I think had it gone the other way, which they're still trying to fight and make go that way, that is just continuing to create that division, we would have been way worse off in the long run. But hopefully now, moving forward, we can start getting back on track with things, and where the world can start making sense again, because we've been living in crazy town the last 4 years, and I think it's going to keep echoing on for a while, unfortunately.
I hope not. I fucking hope not. But I think you're right.
I think the point you made about if we show the data, and if the data speaks for itself and all
even
that,
if it's legit,
it doesn't matter.
The
data doesn't matter. And I know even just in I've taken just a few courses in science communication.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you learn is that your data doesn't matter. Your, beautiful graphs that you spend years analyzing your data and developing these visuals to illustrate what you found. I mean, it's helpful, but you touched on it earlier about why, Trump is even effective in any way when he's basically saying nothing, is because it's about how you communicate whatever the message is.
Yeah.
And it's not going to matter what the data is. It's going to matter how it's presented. And the fact that we have a lot of information that's spread through things like memes, these oversimplified, boiled down talking points that are so succinct and lacking nuance and lacking any context, as long as that's what people are relying on to form their opinions or beliefs or whatever, I don't know how we can combat that, because that's a communication issue and a messaging issue, and that's here to stay.
Yeah. And, not just misinformation that I worry about. It's, again, it goes hand in hand with what we're talking about. How do we combat anti-intellectualism? And there are a few things that I was thinking of how we can sort of course correct on this. First of all, I think it'd be advantageous to have college education more attainable and more accessible for people. It's becoming much more difficult for people to be able to afford it without taking out, I don't know, like 4 mortgages in order to have an undergraduate degree. To me, that's ridiculous. You sort of, and now we talked about the East and West Coast, you can't even get a reliable job. In a certain field, if you pursue a college education, you have to get a master's in order to have just an entry-level position in that field that you studied. Most of the time, at least in here, that's how it is in Rhode Island.
And then you're in debt for like 20, 30 years.
Forever.
Yeah.
Unless you have a super lucrative position. So I think having college education more attainable would be advantageous to sort of combat this. Have it be more incentive laden. So not just you have an opportunity for success in terms of your occupation, but maybe there's some sort of, I don't know, tax relief that you could have. Look, if you get a college education, you can knock off X amount on your taxes. We'll do that for you. Maybe people would chase that and say, well, this will make me smarter. This will make me better off. And this will give me some sort of tax relief, puts more money in my pocket. It's a win-win-win. The unfortunate nature is that the opposition is saying it's liberal indoctrination, right? And if you go to college, you're end up going to be voting for Biden. You're going to be part of that cog in the machine that sort of wheels those pedophiles down the alley so they can drink their blood or whatever.
You become part of the cabal.
Yeah, you're a member of the elite.
Yeah, each side thinks the other side is being brainwashed.
Yeah.
I really want to say something, but if I do, that proves that point.
Right.
Because I want to say, they are!
Right, I know.
Well, no, like literally this entire time, like that's like the point that I was going to make is, you know, the whole tie to this whole anti-intellectualism, like at the end of the day, we're talking about a group of people who have been brainwashed and manipulated. And I don't even, the brainwash is a little strong, but manipulated, you know,
Right.
they've been
fooled.
They've been
Bamboozled.
duped. They've been bamboozled.
Gotcha.
They have been manipulated so eloquently to truly believe that this is their opinion and this is how they think, when it's like, no, that was pushed on you. Like that ideology was
Right.
pushed on you, and then you suck it up and you ate it and you swallowed it for dinner. Like, at the end of the day, like that's what it comes down to. And it's funny because like it ended up being how like we ended up watching The Vow, was because we were having this conversation with friends of ours. Like we were talking about, you know, Trump and how we believe like so many Trump supporters are, you know, i.e. brainwashed and manipulated. And then The Vow got brought up, and it's because, yes, like with The Vow, it's about this sex cult, but like the actual story is not about the sex cult. The story is about the brainwashing and the manipulation and how so eloquently and like quickly it happens. It starts off so innocent. And then it's just like, before you know it, you're like, holy shit, I've been branded and I'm fucking and I'm not doing things that I ever thought, like, this is not what I signed up for. How the fuck did I get to this point?
You're too deep at that point.
You're too deep. And it's like,
Before you can realize what's happening.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like with a lot of Trump supporters, I just feel like so many of them have been in this like double down mindset where they've lost friends and they've lost family because they have doubled down so hard in this misinformation that they believe in. And it's like, at the end of the day, like all of us on the other end of it, like we need to be there for them. Like psychologically speaking, like they aren't going to be able to handle the fact that they've been manipulated.
To steer it back to that anti-intellectualism aspect of it, I understand where maybe this concept came from, with that separation between like the elites and their degrees versus, you know, the common folk. And I understand what they were trying to do, but at the end of the day, I can't help but to feel that they were completely, you know, exploited and manipulated to then use that as that, you know, political ploy and take that movement and just weaponize it like we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, you know, I just hope we get to a point where we can trust people's area of expertise and not have this axe to grind when it comes to whether or not you're educated in that certain field. Like Chris, I wouldn't say, you know what, I think this is the way you should fight this fire.
I saw this thing on YouTube.
Yeah, I there was this YouTube doc that I watched once, but I shared it like 4 times. Yeah, I think you're doing this wrong.
You put salt on fires and it goes out.
Incredibly insulting about that, and I think we can say that about any field of expertise. You know, I don't have a field of expertise, so I don't know. But if someone,
well, that's like me asking you to verify my choice in shampoo instead of Sara.
There you go.
I mean,
there you go.
I am a shampoo expert, y'all.
There you go. There is lower region shampoo that I was not aware of.
No, but it is so true. Like I, like all the time, like I have clients who sit in my chair, and it's like there's always this like idea of like, you know, when you go get your hair done and the stylist is like, oh, like, so what do you want to do today? And it's like, no, you're the fucking expert. Like you tell the client what you think is best and like what is gonna complement them. Like at the end of the day, like you would never go to your dentist and be like, hey, this is how I think you should like clean my teeth or whatever.
Hold on one
you
second.
know?
You should-
yep.
Yeah.
Oh, you're using the drill? I don't think that's a good idea. Like,
I saw this YouTube video where actually they said the best way to do it is actually if you just rub foil on it.
No, but there is an element where we need to sort of sit back and say, we are not experts in this given field. We don't necessarily know what we're talking about in this given field. Let's trust the experts, because when it comes to surface level things that we can actually see, we do trust those experts, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that the disconnect here is that when it comes to things that have that are involved in a shift, an adjustment, or a complete 180 on the way we live, we cry foul. Not we, those that are part of the anti-intellectualism movement. They cry foul. They say, you don't know everything, or you don't know what's best for me. And it couples with misinformation, much like now, apparently the COVID vaccine, the new misinformation is that it changes your DNA. So you're literally a new person now when you get the COVID shot. I don't know. But look, I don't know. This is, again, me saying I don't know shit. I don't know how to course correct this. To me, the best thing to do is to blow up Facebook and to completely make that a government thing now, as bad as it sounds. But if no one's using it, who fucking cares anyway? Just get rid of Facebook, wipe it off the face of the earth. And I thoroughly believe, we talked about this on a previous episode, that we are the guinea pigs in this whole social media boom period, that people hopefully 20 years from now are going to say, Mom, Dad,
what were you thinking?
Are fucking dumb.
Yeah.
No kidding.
That's what I hope. Maybe TikTok is the hope.
Yeah, maybe.
Dear Lord. Don't get us started on fucking TikTok.
Yeah, unless
I don't
a
have
4-hour podcast.
Oh, you guys, didn't you download it and try it?
It was really
It
bad.
was so bad.
Trying
I
it
don't
was
get
bad?
it.
Yeah, it was so
Well, we
bad.
definitely didn't make any dances and upload them.
Oh
We were
yeah,
just
we didn't
scrolling.
physically make a TikTok and put out a TikTok. I just the word alone, I'm just like, bro.
That was the only policy I liked of Trump's.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, ban TikTok.
I'm like, fuck yeah, Trump. Good for you. Ban TikTok.
Ban TikTok, ban Facebook, bring back MySpace, HTML profiles, done.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. That's how we met, y'all.
Top 8. If you're not in it, you're not with it. That's it. That is how you know whether or not we're friends. And it gets bad when there's a top 4. That's it.
Oh, man.
Fuck yeah.
All right. That's going to do it for today. This was fun. I'm glad you guys were able to hop on.
Yeah,
I'm
thank
glad
you guys for joining us.
Yeah, we were able to
Thanks
figure
for
out the
having
technology.
us.
Of course. Look, I know you guys are sort of sorting things out, but if people want to dig back into the MySpace With You archives, I think it'd be really good to do. You guys reached out to us via the Instagram, social media.
Sure did.
And I listened to, when you did that, I listened to the first episode, the trailer episode, and you guys are the babes, and that's how I've come to know the babes, and ever since then I was a listener. So I'm glad you were able to do this. You guys are the cooler West Coast version of us, right?
Cooler and younger.
Yeah.
Oh, God. You guys are the way cooler version of us.
What?
By
No.
far.
We're using Skype.
What is
What the
this,
fuck is Zoom?
2012?
Anyways, we appreciate you coming on, and also we appreciate anybody listening to this show. If you want to subscribe to the show and you liked this sort of banter, you can hear this on a weekly basis. We talk about just weird shit. Subscribe to the show. We're on all your favorite podcatchers. We are on Facebook and Instagram. Hit us up there. Do you have any closing thoughts you want to...
I just hope this is the last time that we have Sara and Chris on.
No, I'm sure it'll happen.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want to make us your featured guests frequently,
We were-
we're down, because our show is kind of on a little hiatus.
We were actually
for the moment.
talking about it, and we were like, fuck, it'd be so nice if we could just be on their podcast. We don't have to do any of the work. And,
We have this equipment.
Anytime you're wanting us on and you want some
yeah.
goofy opinions, we are more than willing to give them to you.
All right.
It's awesome.
We
Sounds
appreciate
good.
it. Well,
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. Thanksgiving?
It's
Are we
Thanksgiving.
going to do a Thanksgiving
so
episode?
We'll think of something. Yeah,
All right. Thanksgiving traditions or something.
sure.
Best sides.
Oh, God.
Yes. Poll of best sides.
All right.
All right.
Stay tuned for the poll.
All right. See ya.
Bye.